The house felt empty the moment he left, this suitcase in hand, a quick kiss on my forehead, and then he was gone, disappearing down the long driveway. He stood by the window watching the dust settle behind his car, waiting for that familiar ache to fade, but it never did. It had been this way for months, maybe years. The slow erosion of passion. The widening gap between us. It wasn't that I didn't love him, it was that I barely felt him anymore. I turned away from the window, glancing at the untouched coffee had made before leaving, still warm but going cold, just like us, the silence sign. The house was deafening, pressing against my ribs like something tangible. I needed to get out, I needed air. The stables were my escape, the only place that didn't feel suffocating. The scent of hay and leather, the rhythmic sound of hooves against the dirt. It was comforting in a way my own home wasn't. I found him waiting for me, his dark eyes meeting mine, as if he already knew. I ran my fingers down his muzzle, his breath warm against my palm, nestled into me the way he always did. As if he understood, maybe he did. He had been my quiet confidant for years, listening when no one else would. My husband had bought him as an investment, a status symbol, but to me he was else entirely. I took my time brushing him down, letting the repetitive emotions steady my thoughts, the way his muscles tensed and relaxed beneath my hands. The sheer power he held, it was mesmerizing. He was untamed, powerful, something wild that no one could fully on. There was something intoxicating out that. I leaned into him, resting my forehead against his neck. His warmth seeped into me, soothing the hollow he carried. I closed my eyes, breathing Jim in the scent of sweat and earth grounding me. I wasn't sure how long I stayed like that, lost in the moment, lost in the feeling of being close to something that wasn't slipping away. From memories surfaced, unbidden, the way my husband used to touch me, the way he used to look at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. But those days felt like another life, a version of myself I could barely remember now. All I had were these stolen moments. This quiet unspoken connection was something that didn't demand explanations. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the stable. The weight of reality settled in my shoulders again. I straightened a deckling. Slowly I needed to go back inside. I needed to pretend that everything was fine, but as I turned to leave I hesitated, my hand lingering on his coat for just a second longer than necessary. Something had shifted, I wasn't sure what, but I felt it deep in my bones, and I wasn't sure he wanted to stop it. The night air was cool, slipping through the open stable doors, wrapping around me like an unseen force. I should have gone back inside ours, Agabit. Something kept me there, the quiet way. The world felt smaller, more intimate in the dim light. The way he watched me, his gaze steady, unyielding, as if he knew what I was thinking before I did. I ran my fingers along the curve of his neck, feeling the way his muscles twitched. Beneath my touch he was warm, solid, unlike the empty space in the cold sheets that stretched endlessly beside me every night. My husband was a man of ambition, always seeing something, money, success, whatever it was that kept him away, and I was left trying to convince myself that loneliness wasn't eating me alive. It traced absent circles against his coat, my mind drifting when had last felt wanted, truly desired. It wasn't just about touch, it was about presence, about knowing someone was thinking of you, even when you weren't in the room. I used to feel that now I was an afterthought, a fixture in the house, rather than someone to be cherished. He shifted beneath my hand, exhaling softly, his breath ghosting and my skin. I swallowed hard, heat raising where there should have been anything. It was ridiculous. I knew new thought, but emotions weren't logical. They crept in through the cracks, settled in places they shouldn't. I let my hand linger, just for a moment longer, a test. I'll mistake my pulse, quickened to slow through against my ribs. The weight of guilt pressed against my chest, but it wasn't strong enough to drown out the benefit. I stepped back, forcing air into my lungs. This was dangerous, this was foolish. I wasn't the kind of persona let their mind wander down forbidden paths, and yet standing there, in the dim glow of the stable with nothing but Selene, and the steady rhythm of his breath, I wasn't sure if I had ever felt more alive. I turned away, rubbing my arms as if I could erase the feeling, as if he could force the heat from my skin. It needed to go inside, I needed to remember woe. I was what I had, but as I walked away I knew the thought would follow me, knew it would creep into my mind the moment my head hit the pillow, knew it wouldn't be so easy to forget. The storm rolled in sometime after midnight. Distant thunder rumbled across the fields, the wind rattling the stable doors, a restless energy settling in my chest. I shouldn't have come back. I knew that, but I was here anyway, drawn by something. I couldn't name something. I refused to fully understand the air. Plastic electric charged with something unspoken. He stood there waiting as if he'd been expecting me all along. My breathing was uneven, the weight of my thoughts, pressing down the line between right and wrong, blurring with every second. I lingered. I reached out before I could stop myself, my fingers grazing his coat, tracing patterns I had no business tracing. My skin burned where it met his warmth, the contrast against the cold night air sending a shiver through me. My pulse hammered an unsteady rhythm that matched the storm outside. I whispered some mything words I wasn't sure I wanted to say aloud. Maybe it was an apology, maybe it was a confession, maybe it was both. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just watched me. Steady and unwavering, it was intoxicating the way he existed. Without hesitation, without guilt, I envied that something inside me cracked. The loneliness, the longing, the unbearable weight of neglect. It all spilled over, filling the space between us, drowning out reason. I stepped closer to close, my body betraying me, drawn toward warmth, toward comfort, toward anything that mattered. Feel something again for a fleeting minute. Nothing else existed, just breath, the sound of the storm, rushing outside, mirroring the chaos within me. My hands curled into fists, nails biting into my palms, a desperate attempt to anchor myself, but it was too late. That image was done. Reality crashed down like a sudden downpour, cold and relentless. My breath caught, shame creeping in like a shadow, wrapping in my throat, tightening until I couldn't breathe. I stumbled back, heart pounding, hands trembling, as if I couldn't do what had just happened. This was wrong. This was dangerous. This was something I could never take back. I turned and ran, the storm swallowing my footsteps, guilt chasing me into the night. Sleep never came. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, heart still racing, skin still burning with the remnants of a moment I couldn't erase. The wind held outside, rattling through windows. But it wasn't the storm that kept me awake. It was the weight of my own thoughts pressing down, suffocating. Morning came too soon. The house felt colder than usual, the silence stretching, unbearable. I moved through the motion, showering, dressing, making coffee. Beauty, everything felt mechanical, distant. My hands trembled as I lifted the cup to my lips, the taste bitter, unwelcoming. He couldn't go back to the stable, not yet, not after last night. The thought of standing there again, of facing what had happened, made my stomach twist. So I stayed inside, lingering by the window, watching the fields stretch endlessly beneath the gray sky. Hours passed me. Phone buzzed, a text from my husband, short, impersonal, a reminder of how far apart we had drifted once. I would have been eager for his messages, for any sign that he was thinking of me now. I barely felt anything at all. Guilt crept in, slowly weaving itself around my ribs like a vice. I tried to justify it, to tell myself it wasn't what it seemed, that I hadn't done anything unforgivable, but the truth sat heavy in my chest. Infidelity wasn't just about actions, it was about intent, about desire, and I had crossed that line the moment I let myself want something that wasn't mean, to want. The front door opened. It turned sharply, breath catching. He washed him earlier than expected, shaking off the cold, setting his bag down with a sigh. He looked at me, smiled. Some familiar smile I had once lived for. I forced myself to return it, my lips curving, as if everything was fine, as if I thought wasn't coming apart inside, as if I hadn't changed. He kissed my forehead, murmured something about how much he missed me. I nodded, said it back, but the words felt foreign, empty. His arms wrapped around me, but the warmth I sought was gone, lost somewhere I could never reach again. Later, as he unpacked, I stood at the window, watching a stable in the wind had settled, the sky was clearing, everything looked the same.